felt like we had a decent weekend. Obviously, with the change in schedule, just kind of had to scramble and obviously lost a couple of games, so that was a little bit disappointing with the weather and stuff like that. Lost the games to the weather. But I thought our team, after a little bit of a break, came out and played pretty good. I think we're getting better without a doubt, so that's a good sign for us. Still got things that we've got to improve. Still got some kids that are kind of struggling away that need to just keep taking those next little steps and that kind of stuff. But I feel good. I feel like our mentality is good. That's the best thing. I feel like we're already calloused in a lot of ways. So I think that's probably good for this program and these kids on this team, on this journey. So I'm excited about a really good weekend coming up. A total of 7 games this week, which is a lot. But we're low on games. If you look around the country, there's teams that have played 18 or 19 games. So we'll kind of catch up in a little bit of way there, which will be nice. And again, got some great tests coming up. So we're excited about the opportunity.
I know it's not the next thing on your schedule, but how great will it be to be in front of the fans this weekend?
Oh God, can't wait. I just walked outside and was just walking around on our field. Just kind of gives you the perspective of playing at home and being back here. I'm just excited to be practicing like on our field here today. Like I don't know the last time we've been on our field. No excuses. It just feels good to be at home and kind of have an idea of what's going on. We've got a lot of fans who have bought tickets up at Wichita. They've been asking us. It's sold out, which is really cool. Obviously, some really good teams and really good players will be in this tournament. So I cannot wait for that. But I cannot wait. I can't wait to play on Thursday. I'm equally as excited to be able to play in front of our home fans.
You brought up the calluses that you guys have now. You know, usually when you've had a little bit of dry spells or rough sports, it's been in the middle of the season, maybe the latter part of the season. How different is it, and what maybe good can it do for your team already having those calluses and not, maybe saving your best softball for later in the year instead of going out now?
Well, I've always felt like most teams, they play the way they're supposed to play about 70% of the year, and they play above 15 and below 15. That's kind of like I would think is a pretty good average for most teams across the country. Now you can still win those games playing below average. You could get beat playing above average. It just could happen in our game with the pitching and things like that. So I just think it's good for us. I think as I look back, I think we came out and played so well in that Florida State game, the first game, and I think it was easy for a lot of people here to go, we're pretty damn good. And then you go out the next day and you get beat by La Tech, and then you come out and beat a Northern Colorado team, and I don't even think we played good. So we didn't play good in both of those games. And then we go out the next day, and Florida State just showed you what championship softball is, and they said we're not going to lose. We feel like we got beat up good. Maybe that's not their exact words, but that's how they played. And so it's like it's put us in a weird spot. You know what I mean? We've got kids that I feel like are pressing some. There's no need to do a press, and so the calluses are normal. They're good. They're healthy. And it's what good teams have to go through. So we're in that process, and our work has been great. Our attention to detail has been great. We got to go out and take this thing. We got to get off the emergency brake too. I think we're playing a little bit with the brake on, trying not to lose, trying not to have bad at bats. Trying to get hits instead of just being relentless the cowgirl way. Something I'm going to talk to him about here today.
Being 7 games, you mentioned you've also talked about Michaela. She's coming off with surgeries. You might be careful about how much you play her in back-to-back games and things like that. But she's played in pretty much every game. I mean, so are those surgeries really bothering her much, or?
I don't think it's bothering her much. I may keep a closer eye on her this weekend. We do have a day off, but 4 games in 2 days is a lot for somebody that, we need her to be healthy at the end.
Yeah.
So I'll keep an eye on her. I need to get Claire Timms some at bats. I need to get her back out there, so that may be a spot that could happen. But we'll just see how it goes. Like when things aren't going well, you look at plan B at times and plan C and D and run through all those things. So we'll just kind of play it as it goes. But right now she's responding well.
Yeah.
She's not complaining. I check in on her each day about how she's feeling, and I know when she's not being honest. I can tell that from most of these kids. They all want to play. There's not one of them that ever comes up to me and says, hey, I don't want to play. That's rare. It takes a really mature kid to go, hey, I probably need a day off here today. And with the way we're playing at this point, I think everyone's like, hey, I need to do my part.
Yeah.
So
With that playing, I think you said playing not to lose, just that maybe being tight, I know you said you're going to talk to them, but is that something that from a coaching standpoint you can kind of snap them into the right frame of mindset, or do you almost need maybe one or two of the girls themselves to kind of shake things up from a mentality standpoint?
I think it's a really good question. I'm going to remind them of that here today, just to play relentless with passion. The way that we talk about here. I always think it has more effect when it comes from your peers. So I may have a nudge or two from somebody that I may need to nudge to say it's probably time for you to say something, and just. It's one of those kids who doesn't talk a whole lot. When they talk, people go, ooh, may need to pay attention to that. So, but I don't feel like we're in a panic at all. I just feel like you press. I don't look at anybody and go, hey, they're in a panic. I look at a press, like where they want to do it. And they want to be up there. A panic in my mind would be, I don't want to play, or I'm just. You can see a look in their face, like, we had an off day yesterday, and I saw about everyone up here. You know what I mean? So that's kids that understand the sense of urgency and want to go. So but I think it definitely has more of a kind of a punch in the gut when it comes from one of your teammates. And we talk about being a player-led team. So here's your chance, right?
I think you guys have already stolen half the amount of bases you stole all of last season. You talked a little bit about this preseason, but just kind of what do you like about the way your girls are running the base paths right now?
Yeah, if we get on base more, we'd be doing more. I mean it. That's the thing. And that's kind of some of the stuff we're talking to them. We've just started to start walking again. We went into a funk where we weren't walking at all, which is really weird for us. Especially what I saw out of the fall. I was really blown away with our discipline at the plate. And so when you start to press, you start to expand zones. And I think when you look across the country, the one thing that the most elite teams do is they don't swing outside of the zone. And I think you're seeing across, when I'm watching film and watching games, I'm seeing a lot of people that are outside of the zones. Some more than what I'm used to, but also it's early, so it's like learning how to hone the zone in. But I love the way we're running. We're taking extra bags. We've got another. They don't always go down as stolen bags, but we've advanced on balls in the dirt numerous times, and we're doing it with Godwin's, and Work has done it twice. Those are people that are getting themselves in a better spot, and it's been an emphasis of ours for a couple years, but this team has taken it over. So I'm really happy with the way we're doing that. We still have some blunders. We had a really poorly run play at third. We had, I think, one out, and we had Cheese up, and she smashes a ball to left field. And I think Hasser was at third, and her job is to tag, and she didn't score. And those are the little things that we're going to talk about again here today. Keep coaching that stuff, right? Some of these kids just haven't been coached like that always, So it's just getting them in that mindset of, hey, the worst thing that can happen here is you score on a sac fly. If she does her job, you got to do your job. So those are the kind of little things that we're better at than we were the first weekend. But when we start getting dialed in on that kind of stuff, you're going to see more stolen bags. You're going to see more runs scored. A lot of things are going to happen.
And then it looked like Bloodworth had a pretty good weekend at the plate. I think she had 2 10-pitch at-bats, one she walked, one she hit a home run. Just kind of, how have you seen her advance from her offensive side?
It's all pure. She's good. Like, there's a reason we keep running her out there. She's really good. She's a great defender. She showed that. If she can keep the boogeyman out of her head when she's batting, she's legit. Like, she can go. She's had a great fall, and she's showing signs of being able to keep that guy out of there. You know what I mean? And that's a normal, very normal thought process. And when you have a couple years where your batting average isn't great, you can still produce. She's done that, but I think she's capable of producing with a better average too. And she's doing very good at that. So I'm very proud of her and very proud of the way she's going about that.
How
You
much
talked
could that
last
change the lineup at the bottom because of helping you turn it over with particularly with what you're able to do maybe with Tia in the 8 or whatever talent down there? Yeah,
the bottom of our lineup has been getting on base like crazy, and so I've been very happy with that. And if they can continue to get on base and execute, one of the things that Megan's going to work on here today, and she knows this, is her bunting game. Like, she's got to be able to bunt, and she's an elite bunter here. So, but when the boogeyman's there, I mean, it drives you nuts. He's telling you that you can't, and you got to believe that you can. And so, with the bottom of the lineup, it's been phenomenal. They're getting on base. We've got Talon right down there. As well. Tia, we moved Tia up a little bit. I just didn't like the way Tia and Cheese were coming up so close, because it doesn't give you this kind of sock in the lineup. It's more of a softer approach, and so we moved Tia up in the last game, and I kind of liked that. She came up in some good spots where she could do some stuff, and she's another one that's really getting consistent at bats for the first time and showing us that she can play.
You talked about Rosie maybe being underrated last week because of all the shine Carly gets, but in the same way, it gets a little bit different because they're not in the same class. Do you think Meg can kind of get some of that too? She's obviously an elite defenseman, but like you said, the low batting averages the last couple of years. Do you think she's become underrated in some way, maybe from outside looking at this team?
I mean, I think she's, I see a lot of stuff. People send me stuff, how people are kind of tough on her on social media and stuff, and they think we could do better, and there's others out there. Like, she's very underrated here. She plays catch. I mean, it's the most important thing for a shortstop to do is to be able to play catch. It's like the quarterback in your infield. She does that well. Last year, everybody wants to talk about the fact she hit 190 something. She drove in 30 something runs, I think, and had 10 sacrifices and stole a couple bags and does things to get on base. Like, those are important at the 8-9. If you can get your 8-9 to drive in 25 to 35 runs, I mean, we're doing something good. So she's doing exactly what we need, and so yeah. I mean, I think she's an underrated player for sure. She's a Gold Glove type defender. I know there's a lot of good shortstops out there, but if you just want to go around and look at the numbers, I mean, she plays very good at short for a team that throws a lot of ground balls.
Obviously, you schedule the way you do for a reason, and we all know what that is. But does it make it tough this time of year when you're trying to figure things out as a coach? Is there kind of a high wire act between making sure you're pushing forward and also trying to work through things?
Yeah, no, it's tough right now. I mean, when you look at the schedule, I'm looking like, God, can we get some sort of break? It's not coming. So you just look around and are just like, my gosh, like, when does this end? Well, it's not going to end. So that's the way we set it up. So, we're like, I was talking to Shippy about this, when we were 5-4, I said, hey, look, like, a little bit of a rough stretch for what we would want, but we're hitting 315. Like, we usually, when we have a rough stretch, we're hitting about 185. Okay, like, and we've played a very, very good schedule. There's some people that are kind of catching us now with some schedules, and they will when conference starts. But like, we we're okay. You know what I mean? We're not pitching exactly the way we want to. Well, we're okay. Like the stuff we're seeing is correctable stuff. Like it's hitting spots. It's not like we can't pitch. We're just, when you face good teams and you miss, you get punished, just like we do. And so I look at the schedule. I sit there, got the stats the other day, and I'm starting looking through and going, oh my gosh, like, but it's just the way it is. And it's what we've got to do if we want to host. And that's what I keep telling them. Just keep plugging away. You want to play at home. We're pretty good here. And we've shown that for a long time. And so I just want them to understand and enjoy the journey, even though it's hard. Like, don't worry the fact that it's hard. This is preparing you for what life is about. And life's going to be much harder than this schedule. So, I mean, I love the schedule. I wouldn't change it. The thing I think, Scott, it makes it hard on is when you want to get some kids, you have to make decisions here. Do you want to get a kid out, or do you want to let a kid just hit through stuff? So those are the conversations that we're spending a lot more time on than I had anticipated. But every year is a different journey, and I think we all wanted to just script it all out and go, but that's not the way it never works. The season always brings you things you had no idea were going to happen, and I think that the teams that handle that the best are the teams that can advance at the very end.
I know it's probably really nuanced with specific situations and specific girls, what's best for them and what's best for us in this moment, but is there a general thought process or rule you fall back on when you're trying to make those decisions of whether we let her hit through this or whether we maybe make a change because we need to for this moment?
Yeah, I think there's a couple things I think about. There's times where you just need to get a kid a break and to kind of just catch a breath. There's times where I look at it and go, hey, this kid's upside is so good, like a Hassler. It's so good. And we had her batting third to start the year, so I think it tells you what we thought of her. And not just what we thought of her, probably what her teammates thought, and also the way she performed. So you go, okay, do we now just want to, now she's kind of had a break, and can she ever get going again if it's sporadic? So do you just let her hit through this, playing good defense? Okay, it's not like we're dropping off anywhere. They're both playing really good behind home plate. So it's like, what do? You know what I mean? And there's other times where you just want to sit a kid down or pinch hit for a kid and say, the at-bats are unacceptable here. Like, we had a plan. You're not executing the plan. It doesn't even appear that you're trying. And so if it appears like that to me, there's too many good players here to not give somebody else a chance to kind of get a chance to get some maybes. So you just run through all these things in your head and go, okay, well, what does so-and-so need, and what's the best thing? We haven't had the ability to do this in a long time. I mean, I've seen, we've been playing the last 4 or 5 games with the number 2 and 3 hitter that we started with not even playing. That's not a recipe that's not what I thought this was going to be to start, right? So you're like scrambling, and so I enjoy that to a certain extent. It's cute at times, and now I'm like, okay, it's time to kind of get back to what we know you can do, right? So just a lot of talking, a lot of working through stuff, a lot of a couple things I've just gone with my gut, like moving Rosie up was my gut. I just, we were talking about hitting her third or fourth where runners are coming out. I'm like, you know what? She's giving us the best at bats. I want her as high as I can get her so that she can be up as many times as she can be up. And then she gets the game-winning hits, and she's getting on base in front of Carly to do things. And it's just like, okay, that was a good move. I'm not very, very, very good. I've told you that. But my gut said you probably ought to get her up a little higher. So I just said, even though we may not have all agreed in here, I just said this is what we're gonna do. So,
particularly with the addition of Fergie this year and the things that he has taken
Yeah.
on, are you more in position to do some of the stuff that you have talked about that you really enjoy, kind of managing people?
Yeah, there's more things I'm doing. I'll be honest with you, I'm trying to find my way too. Like, it's really weird. I'm just like sitting here at times going, what am I doing? What's my role? So It's been an interesting journey for me as well. You know what I mean? I like what we're up to. So it's like, it's not like we're not doing the things I want to do. He's not dictating why they are hitting or they're not hitting. You know what I mean? I like the way our defenses, I like the way we're playing. We're shifting a lot more and we're doing things. And when we hit spots, it is to a T. Like, it is so good. And when we don't, then we look bad because we don't hit a spot and then we're in the wrong spot. So, I enjoy what he's done. He's a big part of our running game and he's a big part of the defense, you know, like as a whole. And for me, it's just learning like where I fit with this staff, you know what I mean? So it's a real honest, for something I've been thinking about a ton, to be honest, like where can I be my best? Because that's how I want to be, whatever it is how can I be my very best? And I'm not sure that I'm there yet. So that's something that I'm going to talk to the staff about. It's kind of on my top of my list. We just haven't had a chance to have that talk yet. Probably have it on the bus ride tomorrow, but are you getting the best me? Because they know the best me. So I want to ask them that. I got to have that thing, and you know, and then we'll go on that. On the other part of your thing there, your question there, I feel like I'm very involved with them, which is cool. So I like that part of it, and I feel like I've been playing counselor, psychologist, you know, coach, all that stuff. You know, just somebody to talk to a lot more up front because it has been tough for some of those kids. So.
Is that a question you ask yourself typically most years? Like, am I, you know, giving the team my best, or is this kind of new territory for you this year because of the change in role?
Yeah, I think it's kind of new. I probably should be thinking like that more, but I don't ever think it's any issue because I'm very hands-on and involved. A little bit less hands-on, so it's given me more things that go through my mind, which is not very big. So I can think about that kind of stuff. It comes to my mind fast. But it has been there. And so if it does come to my little brain, it probably is important enough to think through. It's a learning curve. This is the greatest thing about what we do, is like it's never the same. And it's probably what I love the very most about coaching is my brain doesn't like to do the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. That's why Berkey's here. His brain likes that. My brain is going like 12 ways, thinking way ahead, and need to sometimes get more present, need to sometimes just hone in those things. And so my deficiency is just that. That's why he's here. I know him well enough to know that his brain is going, hey, we gotta do this again and again and again. And I'm like, hey, we're good, we need to go over here. He's like, no, we need to stay here. So it's learning. And so we're nowhere close to how good we're gonna be as a staff or a team yet. And that's coming. And so I'm excited about that, but I'm also kind of in a weird way like the hard frustration and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of when I get in that spot, that's kind of when I can start to be my best me, because I start to get into a fight mode inside, not like physically fight, but just fighting to figure out what it is that they need.
I don't know what your pitching plans are for the weekend, but obviously at this event in Wichita, there's going to be two of the best pitchers in the country, and they're both from Nebraska high schools. Is that is that just a sign of the growth of the sport that that we're at this point?
It's interesting. There's a lot of good pitching in small states, colder states. Virginia's pounding out a ton of kids. Katie Coots would be one of those kids. Something like Florida State has got a couple of those. Virginia Tech has. They're all over. Virginia's probably pumping out as many good arms as you've seen. If you really started to like look through that list, you'd be like, oh wow. So there's just good talent. There's just good resources. This game is growing at an exponential rate, which you guys have all seen. It's why you guys are all here today. I don't know that 10 years ago. Well, I do know none of you were here actually. None of you even cared or even knew about it. Some of you were still wearing some diapers, most likely. But I mean, don't take it personally.
No, I'm
It's all
not.
good. I wish I was your age. But no, it's like people are just throwing money and time and facilities and coaching and the insurgence of the baseball people that are coming into our game is not hurting us. It's actually pushing kind of the older guard to really improve, and the people that are still doing well, the Nebraskas, the Wichita States, the Oklahomas. I mean, Patty was one of the first ones to hire a guy, you know what I mean? And it's really cool. And so it's like, it doesn't mean that we're a baseball game. We're not. But it's opening it up to where baseball people would have said, I will never go in, to that. And now they're like, man, that may be a better game. You know what I mean? It's real. It's a real game. It's fast. It's skilled. It's so many things. And these athletes are special to coach. And so, especially when they're at the end of a road, you know what I mean? Baseball guys are just, a lot of times they're looking at what's next. They can forget at times where their feet are and who they're playing for. Where these guys, we don't have any issues with that. I mean, they know where they're at. They know what they're playing for. They know how important that is to the people around here. So it's really cool.